welcome to the Village. The Village is a virtual meeting space where we meet to discuss issues and topics that are important to educators. And tonight we have a really special group of participants. My name is Bev Bell, and I direct graduate education programs at Mount Holyoke College. And I have the pleasure of co-hosting with Lily.
My name is Lily Eiserman. I graduated from the MHC-MAT program in 2015, and I am currently a science teacher at Chestnut Middle School in Springfield.
Right, so tonight we have the pleasure of introducing three people who are going to share how they have creatively found resources to fund projects in their classroom. So first of all, Lily will be sharing with us a project she did on frog dissection with her grade 7 students. And then we have Bevan Brunel, who teaches at Kelly School in Holyoke, a fellow science teacher and also alum of our program. And she's going to share or give an overview of her fully funded projects, one of which I think was just fully funded yesterday, as well as how you can do some fund matching. And then finally, we have one of our current MAT students, Anna Furr, who's a student teacher at Pioneer Valley Performing Arts in South Hadley. And she has done research for us over the past couple of weeks, and she's found 9 more resources to fund your projects. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with Lily, and she's going to share her project and give you some ideas around how to get some money to fund projects in your classroom.
Thank you, Bev. So just to give you a little bit of context, my presentation is showing you the basics of how easy it is to sign up for a particular website that I used called donorschoose.org. So here we go. So this is just some really basic information about how to sign up for Donors Choose. You can go to donorschoose.org. There's a lot of screenshots in here about how to sign up for it, so just follow along. When you get to donorschoose.org, basically all you have to enter is your email address and you choose a password. If you're a first timer, there's a prompt right here at the bottom and you just click create your account. And just so everybody knows, these slides will be available for you after, so you can go through this on your own in your own time if I go too quickly. Signing up for Donors Choose is really easy. You basically just have to enter very basic information about your school. This is the first screen that you'll see. You will click set up a teacher account. And then you answer some basic stuff about your school. You have to be a full-time educator, spend at least 75% of your time working with students, etc. You just commit that you will follow through with the process of Donors Choose if you get funded. Then you click I'm eligible. Let's get started. Stephen Colbert pops up and tells you that you're doing a really cool thing. And you just agree to the terms and agreements just as you do with anything. Then you have to enter some information about your school. I still don't know how they have all of the information about all the schools across the country, but they somehow do, because magically, if you start typing the name of your school, it will pop up on a list. I'm always in awe of that. Select your school from the list. It shows you specific information. It pulls up all of the information like phone number, fax number, etc. And then you enter some information about yourself. So when I was doing this, I was a 6th and 7th grade teacher working mostly with 7th grade science students. I just put science teacher in my position details. I did not enter anything else. Then you have to list some basic contact information. I did enter my cell phone. I've never been contacted through cell phone by Donors Choose. I do frequently get emails from them, just in case you're a little bit nervous about putting your personal information in. You choose a password, and then you continue. So you're eligible. This is the overview, and then you get to go into a teacher tutorial, which shows you all the information about how to get projects funded and what the interface looks like. There is a slide, there's a presentation that pops up. You can click through at your own leisure to get more information about donorschoose.com and how to use it, .org. Once your account is set up, you do have to write a few short blurbs, including a description of your classroom and your students. I actually really enjoyed that process. And when your page is live, you can submit your projects. So there's a little bit more writing when you were writing in your project proposals. You have to justify the project and link it to student achievement and learning. But I found that it also helped me to justify my projects to the administration. They were a little bit finicky when I said that I wanted to cut open frogs with 7th graders, but they actually looked at my donors choose page and read the justification that I had written for that page and were like, oh, okay, I guess we can see how this is related to standards and we'll let you do this, I suppose. So once your project is posted, you basically just wait for the donations to roll in. So last summer, I actually had 2 projects. I started a really basic one just to get some gloves and goggles for my class, for my lab. It got funded in 4 days, and it was a $300 project. I was absolutely shocked at this. I did not think it was going to get funded, and I want to say 95% of the people who donated to my campaign were strangers. I did not post this on Facebook or anything. It was basically people who just use DonorsChoose.org as their main source of giving. The following fall, inspired by the funding that I had received, I started another project, and this time it was for frogs. So I've included 2 pictures here. These are my 7th grade students. You can see the frogs here, and the tables. They're also wearing the goggles and the gloves from the previously funded project. And they got super into it. Sorry if anybody is squeamish. It was so cool. Very well worth the money that was spent on it. So Donors Choose helped me get stuff in my classroom that I needed and I wanted, and I did not put up a cent of my own money. There's no harm in trying to get free stuff. Okay. So I'm going to pass it over now to our first guest, Bevan. She's a science teacher, but in Holyoke, and she is going to talk a little bit more about the projects that she was able to get funded.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for us tonight. I'm excited to talk to you about a few of my programs and projects that I set up at Kelly School. My first go around with crowdsourcing actually happened long before I was a student at Mount Holyoke College, or the idea of even enrolling in the MAT program happened. I was actually in the fall of 2014 substitute teaching full-time at Kelly School as a building sub. And I really wanted to get the students excited about something as an incentive-based field trip for great behavior. So I was able to get permission from our principal to use GoFundMe to raise funds to go on a trip to Jiminy Peak, a trip that students would otherwise not be able to probably go to. So it was really exciting. I was able to, with the help of other people sharing the links, able to raise about $1,000 to help us offset the cost of that trip that we went on in May of June of 2014. So that was a really exciting trip for our students. We got to go out into the mountains of the Berkshires and had a really wonderful time going on the mountain coaster and things like that. So that was really great. But most of my fundraising since I became a classroom teacher has been on Donors Choose. And I've had great success getting a variety of supplies donated to my classroom. So you can easily manage multiple projects. So at any given time, I may have 1 or 2 or 3 projects going at one time. So within your account, once you set it up, you're able to see all of these, the projects, the details. It also has reminders in here on how to submit your thank you packages. And that's a big must with Donors Choose. You have to be able to submit all of the required supplies back to them so you can continue to get funded for your projects. So I'm really excited that I've gotten over $5,800 in supplies donated to my classroom. As you can see from the list here, there's so many different things. We've gotten Chromebooks, a Chromebook cart, noise canceling headphones, erasers, 1,000 pencils, believe it or not. I recently, last week, got 2 campaigns fully funded. And I'm really excited. I'm gonna have an electric pencil sharpener and a ton of pencils showing up along with the noise canceling headphones. And this morning, I was able to get another email saying that I was fully funded for yet another project. And it's just basic classroom supplies, ink, printer paper, which is so essential. I don't have textbooks for my class. So I'm constantly making copies. So having access to that without having to pay for it has been life-saving for me, budget saving. What I really love about Donors Choose is the match funding that they do. So you can get corporation or foundation to match individual donations for projects that meet certain criteria. So you can go in to Donors Choose, and you'll see right here that there's a find match offers section here. And if you click on that, you'll see a variety of offers that are happening nationally. There are specific ones for Massachusetts, and it will show you national ones as well. And you can scan down and see what pertains to you. I also like to use this for just getting ideas of projects that I could do with my students to see what funds might be available. So this here, the quill.com match funding, is something that I just got funded last week. I had a regular old-fashioned pencil sharpener in my classroom, and it was getting really distracting to have students struggling with that during class. So I put on an electric pencil sharpener and a ton of pencils, and within just a few days, we got fully funded because of a generous donation from a couple of people and quill.com matching the funds. It's really exciting to be able to put these campaigns on, because just when you think, oh, it's not going to get funded, you check your email and wow, it's funded. So that's really exciting. You'll get an email if you're doing match funding telling you that you've been approved based on the criteria. And then you can send out links on your social media to help kickstart things. But just like Lily said earlier, I have had very great success with anonymous donors, people I don't know making contributions to our science classroom. And it's every single time I'm surprised when I get my campaign fully funded, and I'm also like on the verge of tears because it's surprising and heartwarming that somebody that I don't know is contributing to our classroom. And you can see here that the turnaround process for many of my campaigns has just been a few days. Just take a whack at it and see if you get funded, and you might be surprised really quickly to get your funding. You'll see here that when I first started my campaign back in 2016, I was able to get a liftoff code. So sometimes if you are working in a lower income school, Donors Choose will give you a code called liftoff. So that will match funds up to $100 for classrooms. So my first campaign was successful because of that liftoff campaign. I love Donors Choose because it gives you reminders on what resources you need to send back to them, pictures, thank you letters, and all that. So you can stay up on what you need to send back to continue to get funding through Donors Choose. Even this morning, I got a campaign funded, and I'm really excited. This was the note that showed up in my inbox, so that was really exciting. And as you can see here, the donations came from someone I have no idea who they are, and I was just really shocked. It was amazing. Okay, so I am going to be sharing, moving over to our next presenter here.
Hi everyone, thank you so much, Bevan. She's shown what a lot of initiative can do, and the amazing resources that she's got for her classrooms. And we'll have time for questions for both Bevan and Lily after Anna has shared her resources with us. So as you can see, Anna is from Louisville, Kentucky. She's a current MAT student, and she's student teaching at Pioneer Valley Performing Arts. And Anna, thank you so much for doing this research. And although she hasn't had any projects funded herself yet, she has found a bunch of sites for us and will lead us through each one of them. So if you have some questions right now for Bevan or Lily, feel free to send them to the chat box, which you can find at the bottom. In the meantime, over to you, Anna. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me, Bev. Like Bevan said, these are great websites too to also find ideas for projects and see how they can be funded, but also kind of what can be next for your classroom. So it was a lot of fun. Not actually having my own classroom yet, looking at what, all of these cool things that people are doing and all of these great resources that are out there so that we can we can really find our funding in our classroom.
Okay.
So Bevan and Lily kind of talked a little bit about donors.org. It's a great website, free, easy to sign up, like Lily showed us how. So you're just connecting with your school. And it's great for donors because they can find projects, they can find classrooms that they are really interested in donating to. So it's a really neat website. Yes, so Kickstarter is another one where you can post projects, materials that your classroom may need. Teachers do post kind of an end goal of the funding that they do want for a particular project or for a classroom. It is completely free to sign up, but if funding goals are not met, no money will be collected from the backers or from the donors that have been getting money. So again, donors can browse through projects, they can find classrooms, and they can also find these things in areas that are near to them. So if they're in Massachusetts and they're in Western Mass, they can find a school really near and dear to their hearts. The last one on that page, even though we're not still there, is GoFundMe. Bevan talked a little bit about this one as well. It's also another great campaign platform. There is a 5% taken from each donation received, but signing up is completely free. And there are no deadlines or goal requirements, so it's a little different from Kickstarter in that way. So every donation that you receive, you do get to keep, except for that 5%. The classroom is another great resource for finding funding for school supplies, for a variety of resources teachers may need in the classroom. And donors can directly purchase items from a list that teachers create for their classroom. So they list specific resources, specific materials, and those are going to be sent directly to the school. So teachers can sign up for their classroom or for like a specific field trip, and they can create a wish list that, and it's completely free, that donors can, pick and choose off that wish list if they would like to send off. Digital Wish, the next one on there, is an online store where teachers can purchase donated electronic devices and software. So it's free to sign up, and donors can also, besides donating, electronics, they can also put money into accounts for teachers as well. Adopt a Classroom, the last organization on there, teachers can ask for funding, but their classrooms are categorized for donors. So donors can choose to give money to school that in areas that have been affected by natural disasters, for special education classrooms, for general education classrooms. The classrooms are categorized for the donors, so they can kind of decide in the beginning what sort of class they would like to donate to. It's also completely free for teachers to sign up. I did put on the next slide, are we switching up there? I did put social network gift exchange up there. We all love social networking. Sites like Reddit, though, do offer gift exchanges, so teachers can use that as an opportunity to look for donations, ask for specific things in their classroom. It's never, I think Bevan or Lily said it, there's no harm in trying and there's no harm in asking. So that's a great resource. Teach.com and the Simple Dollar, both the last ones on there, are just great resources for teachers to learn about grants and other opportunities for finding funding. So they offer information about grant applications and other methods that teachers can use for classroom funding, tax deductions, and grants, all for public school educators. And that's a free resource as well. And those are the 9 resources that I came up with.
Thank you. Welcome back to our 3 panelists, Anna, Bevan, and Lily. So one of the first questions I have for you is, what else can be funded other than classroom supplies? If any of you could answer that.
Well, as I mentioned, I've done a field trip in the past, but also I've noticed that through Donors Choose, you can do parent engagement activities within the school and outside of the school, PDs, student-led projects, and STEM-focused projects. You get 3D printers, things like that. So that's really cool. Like those doodle pens. So there's a lot of really nice options listed.
And Lily and Anna, any other ideas? PD meaning professional development. for teachers, right?
Yes.
Right.
My understanding is that school clubs and organizations within the schools can also get funding. One of the things you might want to consider is that certain school districts only support certain of these organizations. So before you actually do think about trying to do some funding, crowdsourcing, please check in with your administration ahead of time to make sure that your district supports or allows you to raise funds through that particular organization.
That's a really good point, Bev, because I know that some districts too, if you're going to be asking for donations for technology, have certain technology requirements. They won't, the IT department, for example, might not service certain things if you get them funded through Donors Choose. So you want to just check to see if there's a policy within your district on that as well.
So another question we have is, how does this compare to applying for grants?
I'll take that one. So what I have found with Donors Choose especially is that it requires a lot less upfront work, and a lot of the information that you're providing is specific to your classroom and your project, whereas with grants there tends to be a lot of background information about your school and your district that you have to include. So the time commitment in terms of applying for a grant, which often would probably give you a little bit bigger of a chunk of money as opposed to just supplies, the overall requirement on the teacher and how much you have to do is much lower. Having looked at a few grants that I've been trying to think about applying for and setting aside the time to collect all the information from the district as well as my school was a little bit overwhelming. Whereas Donors Choose, you can just sit at your computer and knock it out in your prep period, should you be able to spend your prep period that way.
Yeah, I agree with that completely too. Once you get the initial setup process done, it's so much easier just to get in there and type up what you need for your campaign. You can sit, on a Sunday morning and get 2 or 3 campaigns listed within an hour. So it's really convenient.
Yeah.
And with a lot of those websites that I listed as well, there aren't significant applications, and there's not a whole lot of front loading on the work. It's filling out and getting your information on these sites.
So Doreen, we have a question from Doreen, who's also an MAT alum. Doreen wants to know, is there anywhere you know of that funds a playground? Doreen is an early childhood teacher. In your looking up, did any of you come across anything like that?
Playground sounds a little bit more grant-like. Usually the websites that we use for classroom funding, I can really only speak to Donors Choose, but they're for smaller projects or specific supplies. Like Bevan used it for pencils, I used it for frogs. I do believe that you could fund a bigger project like a playground through donorschoose.org. There would just be a little bit more difficulty in figuring out where the supplies would come from because they have approved vendors that they order all of the supplies through. I can't think of any, like the NEA, not the NEA, I'm having trouble thinking of them, but there are grants that are offered that are specifically for outdoor play areas and like garden areas. That's a really big area where grants are offered. And perhaps we can send some information about where to find grant funding in the follow-up email.
I think that GoFundMe might be a nice way of doing that as well. So just check out GoFundMe because you might be able to put larger amounts on. I know in Donors Choose, they kind of cap you out at certain dollar amounts, where in GoFundMe, you can reach much higher. So if you need $15,000 to install a complete playground, you're not going to get cut off at a $2,000 limit like you will on Donors Choose.
And for Donors Choose, the first project that you fund, there is a limit. I think it's under $500. And then once you have proven that you will follow through with all of the funding requirements, like sending the thank you notes, the amount that they'll allow you to get funded increases. So I don't think that, for instance, $15,000 right off the bat with something like Donors Choose would be possible. So an open crowdsourcing website, not specifically for classrooms, might be your route.
And I've gotten 8 campaigns fully funded on Donors Choose, and I don't think that I can go above $2,000 still. I still think it's kind of more limited, but with $2,000 you can get a lot of stuff. So that's true. Yeah.
So once you apply and you fill in all your information, do you then have to use your own networks to advertise, or does the agency or the particular program advertise for you?
So I always post an initial post on my social media and ask people if they're not able to make a financial contribution to at least share the link. That's to me just as supportive as if they were donating money. And then Donors Choose has just promoted my campaigns, and I've really not had to do much legwork after posting it. What I do like about Donors Choose is that you can set it up so they post for you. So every time I've gotten a contribution, they automatically post a thank you to my social media page, so I don't have to go on and spend that time. So it's an automatic post, which keeps people thinking about the crowdsourcing that I'm doing.
Yeah, and Adopt a Classroom, Donors Choose, GoFundMe, all of those. Once you have posted pictures of your